رب العالمين واشهد ان لا اله الا الله ولي الصالحين واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله بعثه الله رحمة للعالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وانعم على نبينا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين اما بعد. Today, the 12th of November 2019, we'll commence with the 9th week, inshallah, in our discussion of Imam al-Akhirah, based on Shaykh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen's explanation of Aqidah al-Wasitiyah. And we did not get to cover the 9th event last week, which is on page 231, which is dealing with as-sirat. And then after that, we're going to go right into al-Qantara, and it'll follow into intercession, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So this is the next to the last week. Next week, inshallah, is the last week. So we're going to try to condense things, bi'idhnillah. We're going to try to condense things. Right. Fadlah.
Right?
Yeah, read page.
The 9th event that will happen on the day of resurrection, the sirat.
Yeah, the author has mentioned that. Yeah.
The sirat, the bridge that is erected upon the back of hell. It is the bridge between paradise and the fire.
So, for those of you who see the Arabic in front of you and can read it, it says وَالصِّرَاطُ مَنْصُوبٌ عَلَى مَتْنِ جَهَنَّمَ. Not here. It's not here. This is coming next, inshallah. This is next page. Right now we're on page 231 in the book, which it says وَالصِّرَاطُ مَنْصُوبٌ عَلَى مَتْنِ جَهَنَّمَ. The way it's translated, it says the sirat is erected upon the back of hell. I'm not sure where the translator got that from. So normally,
it's page 232.
No. Well, okay, it's going to repeat itself, but it starts on page 231. But let me just see who we had. Most of them.
Yes.
If somebody is ala matn ta'ira, what's that mean?
He's bored.
He's on board the plane. You don't see you on the back of the plane, right? Ala matni jahannam, it means that it's over, like it's over Jahannam, over the hellfire. So I'm not sure exactly where that translation came from, but anyway, I just wanted to comment on that. So right now, the author, rahimahullah, is talking about where this sirat is. Okay, because at this point we finished with the hisan, the mizan, all of those things that have preceded, and what's left is to cross the sirat. And so he says that the sirat is actually upon or over the hellfire. And it is the bridge, he says, وَهُوَ الْجِسْرُ الَّذِي بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. And that, I'm not sure if that was a slip of the pen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But you'll see as it goes that the Prophet ﷺ did not describe the sirat as being between hell and Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ himself described it as being over, like it says here. ثُمَّ يُضْرَبُ الْجِسْرُ عَلَى جَهَنَّمَ. It is not between Jannah and the hellfire. It's over or on top of the hellfire. And that is the correct statement there. Now,
It is the bridge between paradise and the fire.
right, that is not correct. It is not between al-Jannah wa nar, not the sirat. The Qantara is between Jannah, or the hellfire and Jannah, as we'll cover inshallah. Now,
The scholars have differed concerning its description. Some of them will say that it is a wide path which people will pass over according to their deeds, because this is the linguistic implication of the word sirat. And also because the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us that it is precarious and slippery, that it is dangerous really. And dangerous and slippery will not be except upon a wide path. If it were a narrow path, it would not be precarious or dangerous and slippery.
Here, he's translating this hadith, which we're going to cover And the word that's used in Arabic for that he's translating as precarious is dah, which means that it's not stable. It's not stable. So if you describe something as being not stable and it's slippery, it shouldn't be something in their mind. It shouldn't be something that's very thin, right? So let's read the hadith here, Shaykh. Can you see it here?
Yes.
Okay.
Then the bridge would be set up over the hell.
This is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ right here. This is the translation up top. Now,
an intercession would be allowed, and they will say, "Oh Allah, Allahumma, save us, save us."
This is the who is it that will say Allahumma sallim sallim? That's the prophets and messengers. They will say Allahumma sallim sallim. Once the sirat is set up, they will be allowed to, or the intercession will be allowed at that point, and they will say Allahumma sallim sallim. No.
It was asked, Ya Rasulullah, how is this bridge? He answered, unstable and slippery.
Yeah. Dahdun mazilla. Yeah.
There will be hooks, tongs, and spikes like the thorns of the plant found in Najd called as-sa'dan. Abu Sa'id, rahimahullah, said, it has reached me that the bridge is thinner than a hair, but sharper than a sword.
Right. And so this, as the scholars of hadith mentioned, when a sahabi says it has reached me, then there is no one else that informed them of that except for another sahabi or the Prophet ﷺ directly. And if another sahabi informed them of that, then they got it from the Prophet ﷺ. فَلَهُ حُكْمٌ الرَّفْعِ. This is as if the Prophet ﷺ himself said it, is that the bridge is thinner, the sirat is thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword. So you see here, he described the sirat as being very unstable and also being slippery. And we mentioned previously, when we covered this part, something that Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah ta'ala talked about. And he said that it's prudent, wise for a believer to think about the sirat, to imagine that he is trying to put one foot on and it's slipping, and so he needs to put his other foot on, and he's seeing people falling off. He's seeing people that are being gashed by these thorns, or ripped by these thorns, slashed, and that a believer, knowing that, has to do his best to stay on the sirat al-mustaqim in this life, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless him to be of those who cross over the sirat in the next life. So here the Prophet ﷺ said there will be hooks and tongs and spikes like the thorns of the plant that is found in Najd called the sa'dan. And this is what a sa'dan looks like. Ooh. You see that? That's a sa'dan. Can you see it or no? Okay. So this is actually what it looks like, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ is describing to the companions, saying that these are these thorns and the spikes that will be on the sides of the sirat that will blemish or slash those who are going by.
From this, a question will come up, and that is, how will crossing over a path such as this be possible? The answer is that matters of the hereafter should not be compared to matters of this world. Allah Ta'ala is capable of all things. We do not know how they would cross over. Are they going to cross over all together at once on this path, or one after the other? One is not able to categorically say which of the two will happen, because both possibilities are strong.
Yeah.
Concerning his statement, erected on the back of hell, that is, upon the fire itself.
Okay, now, go to the bottom of the paper where it says his statement.
His statement, people will pass over it according to the extent of their deeds. Among them, some will pass over within a blink of an eye. Some will pass over like lightning. Some will pass over like the wind. Some will pass over like a very fast horse. Some like riding a camel. Some of them will race through. Some of them will walk. Some of them will crawl. Some of them will be snatched and cast into hell. Because upon the bridge are hooks that will snatch the people with their deeds.
It should say according to their deeds. It says with their deeds. It should say according to their deeds. No.
His statement?
Yeah.
His statement, people will pass over. What is intended by people here are the believers, because the disbelievers will already have been driven to the fire.
Okay, so you see this statement right here? The disbelievers will already have been driven to the fire. How do we know that? Everything that we talk about when we talk about the hereafter, we need to have strong evidence for it, because there's no way of making a comparison to things that are in this life. So here, the disbelievers will already have been driven to the fire. You can read the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri.
Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anh narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, on the day of judgment, a caller will announce, let every group follow that which they used to worship. So the worshippers of the cross will go with their cross. The idolaters, the ones who worship idols, with their idols. And the companions of every false deity with their so-called God, until there remain those who used to worship Allah, both the virtuous and the shameful.
Right, and in some narrations, it says, so that one says, both the virtuous and the shameful. And in some of the narrations it says, until there remain this ummah ma'a munafiqiha, or ma'ahum munafiquhum. So the believers and the hypocrites. Because the hypocrites used to make it seem that they were worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those are the ones who will remain. Let's go through what has happened. What's happened is a person has passed, and after their passing, they are in their grave, and in their grave they are questioned. And if they answer those questions correctly, and they have done righteous deeds, then their grave will be made spacious for them, and they will have a good companion with them, that is their deeds, until the time when they are resurrected. Then there is the resurrection, al-ba'th. And then there is al-hashr, which is the gathering of the people. And after the gathering of the people, there is a long standing, and that sun will come close. And those and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shade from his believer, from his believing servants, those whom he wills. And they have been described. And then at that point, after that long standing, then there will be the intercession, which we're going to talk about next. For the Prophet ﷺ will intercede with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to begin the judgment. And we talked about this in some detail prior to him. The books will be distributed. And once those books are distributed, some people will receive them in their right hands and other people in their left hands behind their backs. There will be a counting, which is al-hisab. And then once those deeds are counted, they will be weighed, counted and distinguished, and then they will be weighed. And at this point, there's nothing left except for a person to go to their final abode. So this is what the Prophet ﷺ was talking about at this stage. Yunadi munadin, a caller will call out, and he will say, let everybody follow what they used to worship. And so those who worship the cross will follow the cross into the hellfire, and those who used to worship their idols will follow their idols into the hellfire, until no one is left except for this ummah, not necessarily only those who follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yani the Muslims as a whole. Because the Muslims as a whole are not just the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. if they preceded Muhammad ibn Abdullah. So the followers of Isa, the true followers of Isa, alayhi salam, before the coming of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they will be fine. I mean, they will be amongst this ummah, they are amongst the Muslims. Those who follow Musa alayhi salatu wasalam until the coming of Isa, they will also be considered to be Muslims. Then the only ones that remain are the Muslims and those who pretended to be Muslim, the munafiqun. And those are the ones who will attempt to cross the sirat. The munafiqun, as we know from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described that they will come to the Muslims and they will say, Naqtabis min nurikum, let us get some of your light. The Muslims will have light according to their deeds, and they will say, Naqtabis min nurikum, let us get some of your light. You know, it will be said to them, go back there and go look for some light. And the munafiqun eventually, they will not be, obviously, those who cross the sirat. So the only ones who will cross the sirat are the actual, real, true believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not every Muslim will cross the sirat. As we know, there will be some from Awsat al-Muwahideen, and those who were sinners amongst the people of Tawhid, who will be punished in the fire. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from amongst those who cross the sirat and who are not punished. Now,
Wait up there.
keep just wherever you stop.
This is without a person having a choice. If it were up to his choice, he would love to pass quickly. But he will traverse, he will go according to the extent of his acceptance of the Sharia in this world. So whoever...
Stop there. Okay, so this is the description of crossing the sirat here. Abu Hurairah, read the hadith up here.
No, understand. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the believers will then pass over it like the twinkling of an eye, like lightning, or the wind of the wind, or like birds, or like fine horses and camels. Some will escape unscathed, that is untouched. Some will be slashed by the hooks, etc., and let go. And some will be piled up in the fire of hell.
So the actual Muslims, the actual believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to crossing the sirat, there are three different types. There are those who will escape unscathed. And alhamdulillah, nothing happens to them. They cross like a blinking of an eye. They cross like lightning. They cross like fine camels, or like the wind. Some will be slashed. They'll get over, but they're going to, have some wounds, some injuries, and then they'll be let go. And some will not make it at all. So those are the three categories. Can you read that last statement again, though? Among them are those, I said, where did you make it to? This is without a person having a choice. Read that again.
This is without a person having a choice. If it were up to his choice, he would love to pass quickly. But he will traverse, he will go over it according to the extent of his acceptance of the Sharia in this world.
I know you don't have this in front of you unless you brought your pamphlet from last week. But go back and find it. It's on page 230. What page? 234. Highlighted in like different colors. Let that sink in. A person will traverse according to the extent of his acceptance of the Sharia in this world. That is a tremendous statement. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala, he says something similar here, and I think it's important that we just cover this briefly. So follow with me, inshallah. قال ابن رجب ذلك أن الإيمان والعمل الصالح في الدنيا هو الصراط المستقيم في الدنيا الذي أمر الله العباد بسلوكه والاستقامة عليه أو بالاستقامة عليه. So he says, that is, Ibn Rajab says that Iman, true faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing righteous deeds in this dunya, that is the sirat al-mustaqim in this dunya. So when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. What are you asking him for? You're asking Allah for what? You're asking him for Iman and al-amal as-salih, righteous actions. That's what it means when you say to guide us to the straight path. The straight path is the one that has unwavering faith coupled with righteous actions. That's what you're asking Allah. That is the sirat al-mustaqim in this dunya that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to be on and upright on it. So you're on that path, you traverse that path of iman and righteous actions, and you stay upright upon it. Al-istiqamah ta'ala, you're steadfast on that path. وَأَمْرَهُمْ بِسُؤَالِ الْهِدَايَةِ إِلَيْهِ. And he also commanded his servants to ask Allah to guide them to that path. Don't think you're going to do it by yourself just because you want to. It has to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aid. فَمِنْ اسْتَقَامَ سَيْرُهُ عَلَى هَذَا الصِّرَاطِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ فِي الدُّنْيَا ظَاهِرًا وَبَاطِنًا استقام مشيه على ذلك الصراط المنصوب على متن جهنم. Whoever is upright on the path, on this sirat al-mustaqim in the dunya, internally and externally, he's not a faker. He really is on that path, inside and out. Then his mashi, his walking on the sirat that is over the metin of Jahannam will also be straight. He won't slip off. According to how he walks that path in this life, is how he walks that path in the next life. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَقِمْ سَيْرُهُ عَلَى هَذَا الصِّرَاطِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ فِي الدُّنْيَا بَلْ انْحَرَفَ عَنْهُ إِمَّا إِلَى فِتْنَةِ الشُّبُهَاتِ أَوْ إِلَى فِتْنَةِ الشَّهَوَاتِ كان اختطاف الكلاليب له على صراط جهنم بحسب اختطاف الشبهات والشهوات له عن هذا الصراط المستقيم كما في حديث أبي هريرة إنها تخطف الناس بأعمالهم. He says, however, whoever is not steadfast, upright, does not walk straightly on the sirat al-mustaqim in this life, in the dunya, rather he deviates from that path, either by fitna of shubuhat. And what does that mean? What does shubuhat mean?
Doubt.
Okay, but what do we mean when we say doubts? Misconceptions.
Not firm.
Not relying on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
بينهما أمور مشتبهات. Okay, so the shubuhat, fitna to shubuhat, usually comes because a person is not willing to accept what Allah and His Messenger said. That's normally where the shubuhat come from. So either from a lack of knowledge, which actually not being willing to accept what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger said is actually a direct result of a lack of knowledge. But it's either because they don't know, and so things come to them and it confuses them about their religion, and they kind of just ride with it. So they have these shubuhat. Or they're trying to make Islam conform with whatever preconceived framework they have. Right? So I'm just telling you how it is. When at certain points in this country, with anti-capitalist movements, then you have Muslims who are hippies and communists or whatever like that. And so then Islam for them, they interpret Islam in light of a communist lens. Right? And so, and that just happens with everything. So right now there's a big, push towards feminism. And it's a fitna for people because traditional, women roles and stuff like that, that means that women are not empowered. That means that women are being, oppressed, right? So now we have to come and we have to interpret text in a modern fashion. We have to make it, fit 2019. Islam is going to fit 20 whatever comes up, 30 whatever comes up. Because alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent his messenger with the last message. And it's sufficient. And not just sufficient. Huwa yasluhu wa yuslihu. It is appropriate and it fixes things at all times. And that's, this deen is alim, subhanAllah. And you notice that with Islam, when it comes to our Aqidah, and it comes to the ritual worship of Islam, we have a lot of details. Right? You say Allahu Akbar. What do you say when you start Salah? Allahu Akbar. You raise your hands to where? Shoulder length or? Okay. And how are your fingers? Okay. And then you put your which hand over which hand? Right hand over left hand. Where do you put the right hand? No. What I'm saying is, when it's over, is it all the way over here, or how do you do it? Oh, okay. And then there's another way. And then you say what? And then what do you read? I mean, details, because this is ritual worship. The Prophet ﷺ described it. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they describe these things, right? The ritual zakat, detailed on how to pay zakat, right? When it comes to Hajj, the details. Okay. But when it comes to what it means to وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told men, live with them in goodness and kindness. Like, what does that mean? What time should you come home at night? How much should you spend on her every month? Mashallah, when I ask you about salat, everybody has some say, again, you raise it like this, you hold your hand up. Because those things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left to al-urf. Bil ma'ruf. What does bil ma'ruf mean in the first place? It means what is?
According to good
what
custom.
Is known according to custom, the norms, right? Which will vary from time to time, place to place, custom to custom, sometimes even from family to family or tribe to tribe. Right? So we have these broad rules, and then we have broad maxims in Islam that cover everything. Ad-darar yuzal, la darar wa la dirar. And you don't inflict injury upon anyone, nor is there any reciprocal, harm to be done. And so many rulings fall under this. Qa'idat al-maslaha wal mafsada, and weighing the harm and benefit and things, right? So, because Islam has come for every situation, alhamdulillah, we have broad rules, and almost everything outside of ritual worship and Aqidah is going to fall under those other categories, those broad rulings. Even when we start talking about buying and selling, there are very limited amount of hadith that restrict, how you're supposed to buy and sell. And then everything else is halal. How did I get on that point?
You could tell about progressive hippies.
I was talking about progressive hippies. Exactly what I said. Oh, shubuhat. That's what I was talking about. So, I'm sorry. So, imma ila fitnatu shubuhat. So what happens is that now, because we don't have knowledge, okay, then our ground is shaky. So somebody throws something out there. Islam oppresses women. Oh, and I start feeling like, oh my God, Islam really doesn't. So now I'm going to make sure that I interpret every single ayah and hadith that I can to make it fit that framework of feminism, which is a shubha, because it could very well be a distortion of the text. And then what happens is, subhanAllah, after their experiment fails, 100 years later, they start realizing, man, that wasn't the way to go. And they start coming back and you say, yeah, Islam really, but without that distorted interpretation, Islam was really good in the first place. But it's the human experiment that we go through and we jam stuff up, and then eventually those who are on the right path bring people back to revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and things go well. Alhamdulillah. So, imma ila So a person, if they're not on the sirat al-mustaqim in this life, they either go with shubuhat. They allow themselves to be, drowned in these misconceptions, or ila fitnat al-shahawat. They allow themselves to be tempted by shahawat, temptations, lowly desires and lusts, whatever it might be. And that shahwa, it doesn't just mean that which one gender has for another. A person can have shahwa for money, for wealth, right? A person can have, he can be tempted by many different things. Doesn't just have to be the seduction of another person. If that person does not go on a straight path, and what we understand from this too is that there's two main categories of things that take you off the straight path. It's either intellectually, those shahawat, shubuhat, or it's your animalistic nature, the passions of a shahawat. Those are the two things that take people off the straight path. And if they are taken off the straight path, so then the thorns and the spikes that are on the sirat in the hereafter will poke him, will slash him according to how much he was led off the path in this life by a shahawat and shubuhat. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that the people will be slashed according to their deeds. That's what Ibn Rajab says here. Now, Allah understand.
He would be cast into hell. What is understood is that the fire which the sinners will be thrown into is the same fire where the disbelievers are, but the degree of punishment is not as severe as the disbelievers. Rather, some of the scholars said it will be cool and peaceful for them, as the fire was cool and peaceful for Ibrahim alayhi salam.
I haven't come across that, and that actually, as the shaykh himself says, that what's apparent is that it's contrary to that.
As he continues, yes. But what is apparent is that it is contrary to that, and that it will be hot and painful, but not like its heat in the case of the disbelievers.
And this kind of brings up the point that was mentioned last week about those who drink from the hose of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said that they will never that they will never taste experience thirst after that ever. And so somebody said, well, even if they as they're crossing the sirat, they're pulled into the hellfire. So the scholars of hadith that I came across to answer that question from last week, they mentioned that what the Prophet ﷺ said is true. And even if a person is punished in the hellfire, they'll be punished with other than thirst. And so there's multiple ways that people are punished. Some people are punished through thirst, but that those who drink from the hold of the Prophet ﷺ, even if they are tested with the hellfire, it won't be through thirst. No. But this is just to emphasize the point here that the Shaykh is making, that the believers who are punished in the fire, it's a painful torment, but it is not the torment that will be experienced by those who have disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No.
Then the limbs used for prostration will not be touched by fire, as affirmed by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the two Sahihs, that is Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari.
And that is one interpretation of the hadith. And there are several. The Prophet ﷺ talked about the believers that they will be known min athari sujud, from the traces of prostration. And so some of the scholars said that what is apparent from that, because this hadith comes in a longer hadith, and what it is, and it's in the Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, but what it is that once the believers are saved from the sirat, they will realize that some of the Muslims that they know are not with them. And so they will call out to Arhamur Rahimin subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they will say, "Oh Allah, those are our brothers who got caught in the hellfire. They were fasting with us. They used to pray with us. They made hajj with us." And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, "Go get who you know from amongst them, whoever has a seed of faith in their hearts." Mustard seed of faith in their heart. And so they will go, and it's said in the hadith, and they will know them min athar as-sujud. So some of the scholars say, like Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, mentioned that this means that all of the places on their bodies that touch the ground when they would make sujood, that those will be saved from the fire. So their hands, their knees, their toes, the extremities of their feet, and their foreheads. Other scholars said, and this is the opinion that seems that the majority have, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, is that their face will not be touched by the fire, and that the forehead here will actually save their entire face, that they will be known by the other believers because of their face, because of their faces. But again, no matter what way it goes down, again what we see here is the importance of salat. The importance of salat. And that the first thing that a person will be asked about and held to account for from his deeds when he is being asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? It's a salat. And so it's so important that we hammer this point home. You know, for those of you who don't know, we buried one of our brothers today. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him and accept him amongst and make him from the people of Jannah. As we were finishing the burial, leaving the cemetery, a brother pulled me to the side. I've known both of them 25 years. And I never knew this. I don't know. He said, that brother there was the one that taught me the importance of salat and jama'ah. And I was like, I said, subhanAllah. He said, without ever saying a word to me. He said, without ever telling me that it's important to pray in jama'ah, he taught me the importance of salat and jama'ah. He said, I was in a Narcotics Anonymous program, in-house, staying all the way up the boulevard. He said, and he would, in the summertime, when salat was 4 o'clock in the morning, he said he would come pick me up in the morning from the NA, go back down to Ridge Avenue, Islamic Center, and pray Fajr, and then drop me back off at home, and then he'd go about his business. He said every day. SubhanAllah. And you know, and you look at the effect that has on a person. And all of us should be looking to say, look, what's our mark? You know, we're not talking about, you know, what's your mark on social media, on the internet, you Instagram famous or whatever. No. But what do you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And so sometimes you know, you won't know that about people, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, protects those deeds for that person. Allah la yudi'u ajral muhsinin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not cause the reward of the muhsin, you know, those the people who do good, to ever be wasted. And so you look at that and you just see, subhanAllah, that importance, the importance of salat always. SubhanAllah. Now, concerning his statement when they pass over.
Concerning his statement, whoever passes over it, the sirat, will enter Jannah, will enter paradise. That is because he is saved. Concerning his statement, when they pass over it.
So again, as a person crosses over the sirat, there's no chance of them being punished in hell. That's it. Once a person gets past, then alhamdulillah, They are from the people of Jannah. But there is something left. Now,
Concerning his statement, when they pass over, they will be halted on a Qantara, small bridge, between paradise and hell.
right. So this is called the Qantara. This is after the Sirat, and this is the last stop. But once they cross the Sirat, they're saved. The Qantara is the last stop. We call it the purification station because it's there to purify the heart. Because nobody will enter Jannah except those who are pure. Those who are pure. And so the heart has to be cleaned, cleansed. Now,
Al-Qantara is a bridge, but it is a small bridge. A bridge is primarily something that stretches over the water of a river and its like. The scholars express different opinions regarding whether this Qantara is a part of the bridge that is stretched over hell, or it is an entirely different bridge. And the correct position in this matter is to say, Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best.
yes, no doubt Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. He said, keep going. Its
nature does not concern us, but what concerns us is that people shall be made to wait there.
And that is the point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala definitely does know best. But what's pretty clear from the text is that the Qantara is separate. Because the Sirat is over Jahannam. That's the way the Prophet ﷺ describes it. Ala Jahannam. And he said the Qantara is Baina al-Jannati wan-Nar. Is between the hellfire and Jahannam. And once a person crosses the Sirat, then they are saved. يَخْلُصُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ مِنَ النَّارِ. The Prophet ﷺ says, فَيُحْبَسُونَ عَلَى قَنْطَرَةٍ بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. So it appears to be different. But as he says, what concerns us is that people shall be made to wait there. Now, and what is the purpose? Read this here. Read the hadith.
As Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when the believers pass safely over the bridge across hell.
I'm sorry, not to cut off, but I want us to realize something, and it's because sometimes you play this stuff back. The brother that I was talking about before, he said he was in an NA program, but look at the concern that was shown for him, subhanAllah, that somebody would go pick him up every morning for Salat al-Fajr, and he's a recovering addict. You know, and people, a lot of times we tend to look down on people who are recovering addicts or all these other things. You don't know what they might do for the deen of Islam, subhanAllah. What they might offer for humanity as a whole. Because they've been to the bottom already. Subhanallah. And that somebody would take that time, to put in to help that person, subhanallah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And to ustadh.
No, hold on. No, I'm sorry.
When the believers pass safely over the bridge across hell, they will be stopped at Al-Qantara, the bridge between hell and paradise, where retribution, paybacks, will be established among them for the injustices that they have done among themselves in the world. After they are cleansed and purified through this retribution, this payback, they will be admitted into Al-Jannah, into paradise. Wallahi, by him in whose hand is the soul of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, each person will recognize his home in Jannah better than he recognizes his home in this world.
That's Allah in Jannah. We ask Allah for Jannah. We ask Allah give us Jannah. Look at that, subhanAllah. When you leave the masjid right now, how many of you are using GPS to go home? Nobody. Because you know where your house is. You will recognize your house in Jannah. You'll be able to get to it
Without GPS.
without GPS. That is correct. But better than you know how to get to your house in this dunya. And some of you brothers, man, like the brother lives on Christian Street. We should change that name, by the way. Muslim street. He literally could probably walk home with his eyes closed. Right? Close your eyes. You know where your house is in Jannah, subhanAllah. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ said, but and he swore on this. The Prophet ﷺ is doing a qasam, and he's swearing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that each person will recognize his home in paradise better than he recognizes his home in this world. SubhanAllah, let that sink in, man. SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. I mean, this is truly amazing, but this is after the Qantara, right? This is after the person is purified at the Qantara. So the purpose of the Qantara is what? Is retribution and purification, as the shaykh is going to mention. Go ahead.
Concerning his statement, some of them will be avenged, payback, because of what they did to others. This retribution, this payback, is not the first one that will occur at the stations of resurrection. Because this malice, this bad stuff, and hatred...
because this retribution is special.
Because this retribution is special. Its purpose is to remove rancor, malice, and hatred from people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
This has the status of cleaning and purification, because what is in the heart does not disappear just because or due to mere payback, mere retribution.
Right. So what he's saying here is that there's another place where retribution occurs, and that is fi arasat al-qiyamah, on the plains of the qiyamah, at the time of the hisab. So people will come together, and if this one hasn't forgiven that one, for example, and that person actually has done them wrong, then some of their good deeds will be taken away and given to that other person, and then that will all be part of what is on the balance. But even after that, and this is the point that he's mentioning here, that even after retribution, it doesn't necessarily mean that things have left the heart, right? So, I mean, just to give you an example, a monetary example. You loaned somebody $500. They didn't pay you back. Okay? Finally, you went through everything, man, trying to get your money back. You went to small claims court. They ruled for you. You got your $500 back. Sometimes there's still something left. You just don't feel right about this person. You might even see him in the masjid and give you salams, and you reluctantly return the salams. He's still like,
He did me like that.
So the point of the Qantara is to get all that out of the heart. Get it all out of the heart. Now this hadith here, this one right here, is special. Bukhari 6535. Right? It's the only hadith that I know of, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, where Bukhari, in the middle of the isnad, he mentions an ayah in the middle of the isnad. So he says, حدثنا الصلت بن محمد قال حدثنا يزيد ibn Zurayya. So here he says that Salt ibn Muhammad, that's the Shaykh of Bukhari, said that Yazid ibn Zurayya told us, and then he says وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ قال حدثنا سعيد عن قتادة عن أبي المتوكل الناجي أن أبا سعيد الخدري رضي الله تعالى عنه قال. Just in the middle of the isnad, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ, and we remove that which is in their chest from rancor or from malice, and which is from the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us that before a person enters Jannah, all of that will be removed, and the believers will not have anything against each other in Jannah at all. There's no such thing as hasad, jealousy, and all of that in Jannah, even though you'll be able to see that your brother has a higher rank than you. A person will see that in Jannah, but they won't feel anything about it. There's no malice, no envy. All of that is removed from the hearts. Now,
So let's speak about what the retribution will be on the type of...
That's the only thing we know is what was mentioned there. And it won't be the type of... what we know for certain is that once a person gets to the Qantara, there is no going back to hell. that person has yakhlus, as the Prophet ﷺ said. They're done. They're done. They've been saved from the fire at this point. Follow Shaykh.
On this small bridge?
Mm-hmm.
On this small bridge between paradise and the fire, its purpose is to purify that which is in the hearts, so that people can enter paradise while having no rancor, no hatred, no dislike, no bad feelings in their hearts. As Allah exalted, as He says, and I'm just going to read the translation, the Shaykh will read the Arabic. And
I already mentioned it now.
And we shall remove from their breasts any sense of injury, so they will be like brothers facing each other thrones. Concerning his statement, then, after they will have been cleansed and purified, it will be permitted for them to enter paradise. This is as was reported by Al-Bukhari, rahimullah, from the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, radiyallahu anhu. When they are cleansed from any enmity or hatred that was in their hearts, then it will be allowed for them to enter paradise. When they are permitted entrance into paradise, they will not find the door open. So the Prophet ﷺ will intercede with Allah so that the door of paradise can be opened for them, as we shall soon discuss, inshallah, regarding the types of intercession.
Hi. I still have 5 minutes according to this here. So Allah understand. That means that you're gonna have to bring these little booklets with you next week, or you have to turn them in so we can pass them out again to you next week. Because subhanallah, I want to cover this. Let's do it. Shaykh. Bismillah. We're not gonna make it there. We need to do 10th.
Okay.
For those of you who have the electronic copy, we're on page 237. We're going to cover the next 3 pages, inshallah.
The 10th event that will occur on the day of resurrection, entering paradise. وَأَوَّلَ مَا يَسْتَفْتِحُ بَابَ الْجَنَّةِ مُحَمَّدٍ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The first to seek to have the gate of paradise opened is the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. The author indicated in his statement, the first to seek to have the gate of paradise is opened is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Its evidence is that which was proven true, affirmed in Sahih Muslim, rahimahullah, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "I am the first intercessor regarding paradise." In another version, I will be the first to knock on the gate of paradise. And in another version, I will arrive at the gate of paradise on the day of resurrection and seek its opening. The gatekeeper will say, "Who are you?" I will say, "Muhammad." He will say, "I have been commanded not to open for any person before you."
Here, the author, and we're going to, so this is number 10. The 11th is what you have in front of you in that pamphlet, and that deals with intercession as a whole. This is a form of intercession. And intercession, the word for intercession in Arabic, does anybody know what it is? Ash-shafa'a. And ash-shafa'a means, or it comes from what root? Shafa'a. MashaAllah. These accessible Arabic students here. All right. So, shafa'a is the opposite of, okay, well, Qantara or witr. And witr is what? Odd, right? Or it could be one, it could be odd. Okay. Mostly odd. Shafa is even, right? Or it means two. Okay. Why is intercession? Why does it come from that root? What's the relationship between something that is? What is the relationship between two and intercession? Right, say it again.
It takes two.
It takes two. That's cliche. What do you mean by that?
One has to intercede for you with the other. Someone has to
Actually, what's happening is somebody is lending their
Support.
voice to your voice. Somebody is lending their voice to your voice. So now you're not alone anymore. Somebody is supporting you. Right. So this is why it's called shafa. And I mean so that it doesn't seem like such a foreign concept, we do shafa all the time. Right? So if you need something from someone that you have no relationship with, what do you normally do? But you know somebody who knows that person. And you have a good relationship with the person who knows that person.
Like you said, cosign.
You call them up and you say, what? Can you talk to so and so on my behalf? That's the same thing. That's shafa. I don't want us to take the concepts and mystify them. It's a simple shafa is a simple concept. I call up this guy because I have a relationship with him. And I have a good relationship with him. And I know he doesn't want to mess that relationship up. So when I call him up, I know he's going to basically do what I ask him to do. And he's going to talk to, So Muhammad over there, mashallah, we have a good relationship. Somebody might not know Muhammad, but they need Muhammad to wrap up a real estate deal for them. So they say, sorry, can you talk to Muhammad for me? Didn't that just happen like a week ago or something? So that's shafa. That is what shafa means. And so here, what's going to happen is, and man, this subject of shafa needs at least, in my mind, it needs at least 3 classes to really get it down. Because right now we're just talking about what shafa means for the hereafter. But shafa is not only studied under the hereafter. You study shafa under tawhid al-rububiyyah and tawhid al-uluhiyyah. In tawhid in general, because one of the main areas that the mushrikun went astray was in the area of shafa. That they would go to their idols, right? That they would go to their idols and tell their idols talk to Allah for us, right? Which is, anyway, that's a different subject. So here what we have is that the Prophet ﷺ, that the believers will actually, this is a little different actually. This is different than the believers when they go to the Prophet ﷺ asking, when they go to a number of the prophets, they'll go to Adam. When it comes to this particular hadith, talking about opening up or so that they can enter Jannah, they go to Adam, and then Ibrahim, Nuh ﷺ is not mentioned in that particular hadith. This is a bit different, and I jumped the gun on that, so forgive me. This one is just that the Prophet ﷺ is saying that he will be the first one to open the doors of Jannah. This is not the same hadith where the believers go to him asking him to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open up the doors of Jannah. From his statement, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, in knowing this is important for us to help us grow in love for our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and understand what his virtue is over all of the messages of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now,
this is from Allah's favor. His statement, I will seek its opening, meaning, I will seek opening of the gate. This is from Allah's favor upon Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, because he will perform the first intercession on the plains of the resurrection to remove and drive away the distress, the difficulties, the worries.
Because the believers, not just the believers, but everybody, all of mankind will be waiting for the judgment. It's basically, subhanAllah, and I don't, mean to make it seem like anything in the dunya, but just to bring it closer, a person knows that they have to face the judge, even if they know that they're not guilty. Just that stress of knowing, man, I got to stand in front of the judge, and maybe anything can happen. Maybe I did something I didn't realize. Maybe they caught me on camera doing something I forgot about or whatever. Just knowing that you have to stand in front of the judge is stressful. Now imagine you waiting for thousands of years. So the Prophet ﷺ comes, and this is what he's saying. That first intercession is what will drive away that distress and difficulty and worry. Now,
and the second intercession to bring about joy and happiness. He, alayhi salatu wasalam, is therefore an intercessor for the creation in order to save them from that which causes them harm or to bring about that which benefits them. None will enter paradise until after the intercession of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because that is affirmed, that is confirmed, that is said in the sunnah as preceded, we've mentioned before, and it is indicated by the saying of Allah, the Azza wa Jal.
Okay. Let's skip that part and go to page 239. Concerning his statement, the first among, I'm just going to read this real quick to wrap this up. Concerning his statement on page 239, the first among all the nations to enter paradise is his nation, meaning that there are several nations, right? Isa alayhi salatu wasalam had a nation, Musa had a nation. Even Dawud and Suleiman, even though they were from the same nation as Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, they will have their own followers. So the prophets and messengers, they will have their followers. This is an affirmed truth. But the first of all nations that will enter Jannah will be the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as is evidence from what is affirmed in Sahih Muslim from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala, who said that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "We are the last and the first on the day of resurrection, and we are the first to enter paradise." And what does it mean we are the last? This is the last ummah. It's the last ummah, but it is the first. They will be the first on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, the first to enter paradise. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said we are the last, but the forerunners on the day of resurrection, and this includes all the stations of resurrection referred to Hadi al-Arwah by Ibn al-Qayyim. Completion, the author did not mention the gates of paradise, but it is known that there are 8 in number, and this is a topic, subhanAllah, that needs its own discussion. So we're going to push it off until next week, inshallah ta'ala, when we deal with the intercession. So, let's tell you this. You either take these and you bring them back next week, or you leave them here so that they can be distributed. They will not be copied again for you. This is 2019 and nobody uses paper anymore, and everybody's going green.
I still use paper.
You're not everybody.
So we're going to try to be green, but for those of you who cannot leave these here, inshallah, and we'll distribute them next week. Don't forget that next week, classes will begin at 5:45, because immediately after Salat al-Isha, we're going to have dinner. So, bring your families with you, and make it something that is beneficial for everybody, Nah, Shaykh.
And when you start back after the vacation, what's the topic? You put it.
Allahu Akbar.
Okay.
We'll talk about it, inshallah.
I thought
We do. We're gonna cover Aqidah. Inshallah. I'm gonna be dealing with the very specific Aqidah topic, inshallah. Sheikh Hanif is gonna continue with the Qawaid, like he said. Now,
you talked about the believers that we have reaching down and grabbing some of the believers that they know with them. Is that beyond the 70,000? Getting 70,000 adding up to?
correct. That's something that's different.
That's more than what
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Anything else? Yes.
At what point does the intercession end? Like taking the Muslims out of the fire.
So that's a bit different than the intercession that we're going to talk about, because what we're going to deal with is specifically the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ. But in terms of the intercession of the believers, then what comes in the hadith is that they're given actually 3 times. So they go and they take some believers out, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, go من كان في قلبه مثقال حبة من إيمان مثقال خردل من إيمان. 3 times, 3 different wordings, right? Go back and get those people. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, and then there's nothing left except for the mercy of Arhamur Rahimeen, and he himself, takes a number of believers out of the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So it seems that the believers get, 3 opportunities. But how many people that is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Allah knows best. Nah.
At what point does the Quran intercede for people?
Right, so the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Ali Imran serve as an intercessor for, is that the right word?
Yes, but they're covered. He's talking about the boy or the man that comes.
Yeah, I'm talking about where they say the Quran is either for you or against you.
No, but that doesn't, the Quran being for you or against you doesn't mean that it's an intercept. It doesn't mean that it's interceding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
Surah Al-Mulk, there's the hadith that talks about it preventing one from being punished in the grave.
Yeah.
Not that it intercedes, but that hadith is most of the scholars that I've come across have said that hadith is not authentic. The one that's talking about it being save someone from the punishment of the grave. وحسنه بعضهم. Some of them say it's حسن. نعم.
أحد الأخوان الأسبوع اللي مضى سألك عن من يشرب من حوض الرسول.
الآن جت ترى قبل ثلث ساعة تقريبا. فالعلماء تكلموا عن من دخل النار بعد الشرب. بعد أن شرب من الحوض ودخل النار فإنه يعذب يعذب في النار لكن بغير عطش. يعذب. نعم.
معناها الحوض قبل
أغلب العلماء على أن الحوض قبل الصراط. وذهب بعض حتى الإمام البخاري رحمه الله ذكر أن الحوض بعد الصراط. وعللوا يعني العلماء الذين ذهبوا إلى هذا عللوا بأن من شرب من الحوض لا يضمن ومن دخل النار يضمن. فهمت الإشكال؟ ولكن أجاب العلماء الآخرون قالوا لا ليس بشرط أنه إذا دخل النار أنه يضمن يعذب بغير العطش.
That's a good question, Aki, if you speak Arabic.
I already answered it in English.
Please, could you repeat it? Is what he meant to say.
For example, may not be able to smell certain things. For example,
في أمثلة كثيرة إن شاء الله.
He's asking in another way. Could you please repeat it?
Yes. So this question is about what was covered last week, which is that, or what we talked about just now from the question that was last week about those who drink from the hawd. Will they? Are there those who drink from the hawd but will still be punished in the hellfire? Because, as we mentioned last week, some of the scholars of Islam have actually said that the hawd is after the sirat. And this was the opinion, or appears to be the opinion of Bukhari himself. And يعني مال إليه الحافظ ابن حجر kind of leaned towards that opinion in Fath al-Bari. Because they say that because the Prophet ﷺ said that if you drink from the hawd you won't get thirsty, and if you go to hell you'll be thirsty, then you can't drink from the hawd and go to hell. So then the hawd must be after the sirat. But as we mentioned, there are people who are coming to the hawd who will be from the people of hellfire in the first place, explicitly mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So the other scholars of hadith answered, and they said, no, it's very possible that a person goes to hell and they won't be punished with thirst. That won't be part of their punishment. They'll be punished in other ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Thank you.
Wallahi.